Alrighty, so this is just We the People News. Okay, I'm gonna be cutting this pretty short, and there's gonna be another hour and something left on this. And again, this is for my benefit, y'all, because I take things as snippets. Okay, I got to research section by section by section. Okay, again, if you want to go to James C. Lovett and see the whole video without my interruption, proceed forward over there, check him out. Okay, now I know they talk about trust and this, that, here and there. Okay, and I'm arm length. Okay, you still have constitution, so there is a legalese way of doing this. Okay, but you have to look all over the countryside in statutes, which is what I discussed a while back on a few videos. So I just want to be reminding y'all that the reason why I say this, because even though they may be using these trust things and confiscating your land, they're not going to show their hand in court. All right? That'd be just verifiable proof of fraud. All right? And they're just not going to do it. So it's better for you to fight it in the Constitution by their standards. Okay? One way or the other, it don't really matter. But it's better for you to fight it in Constitution area and challenging these statutes, codes, rules, and regulations, since you're not a member of the corporation, so ordinance resident does not apply to you. Okay? Trickery of words. We talked about trickery of words all through my video. Lawyers are trickery of words. Anytime you even see a lawyer, hear a lawyer, it's trickery of words. Okay? Witchcraft back in the old days, right? Virginia barred them. Matter of fact, and called them witches. No attorneys in their state, they called them witches. That's another story for another time. All right. The Bible, Jesus says, "Woe to your attorneys." Okay, so we've had heads up about not trust them. Okay, but either way it goes, you claim trust on your property, great. If they're doing trust behind closed doors, you're getting it back on their way of doing it, and you can get it back on legalese as well, because the legalese is in conflict of the Constitution. So therefore, if you draw that statutes, rules, regulations out and fill in the blanks, you still can do it by legalese. So either direction you can go. Okay? Again, I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving legal advice. It's my opinion. All right? Do not take it as legal advice. It's a learning video, okay? I'm standing arm length. All right? Educational purposes only. Let's go. Sorry.
The mortgage thing, because they can only hold on to it for 5 years, guys. They can only hold on to that loan for 5 years. So it's sold within the first 5.
This is the truck that helps keep families safe, and the truck that helps you get far from home. This is the truck of the outdoors.
If that helps or hurts.
Find out when they transferred it to Freddie and Franny. They transferred it over to Freddie and Franny. It's an automatic payment from the U.S. government. There is an insurance policy that will pay the debt.
Yeah. So one of the things too is that, along with what she was saying, is that they have to show a record of that on MERS, the Mortgage Electronic Registration Systems online. Go on there and it says inactive, it's paid off, it's done, you're good. If it says active, it usually means that, like she said, within 5 years they transfer it either to them, or what they've been doing now is they'll transfer it to another bank and then they'll transfer it back. And you'll never.
Okay, so just a quick recap on some of these things, right? Reason why there's U.S. nationals and trust and this, that, here, and there. All right. Again, they took away from the currency, our money, which was gold and silver. All right, they got rid of it. There has to be remedy. We got to survive. We got to enter contract. We got to enter commerce, or we've got to do business with one another. So they had to create a remedy. Okay, and this is what this is all about. So these dollars and all this kind of stuff. There's no such thing as dollars. They say dollars, but it's banknotes. Okay, under the 1933 Bankruptcy Act. Okay, so I'm just giving you guys non-legal advice. Just my opinion. All right, but that's what they're doing, is kind of pulling away from the Bankruptcy Act itself and going into trust. Okay. Let's go.
Even know other than the paper trail. That way it gives another 5 years for them to make the claim that it's been paid off. So they'll shell game it. Here, you get 5 years, you get 5 years. I'll keep collecting the payments. I'll give it to you for a little while. Send it back to me, and that's how they'll keep it going. So another thing to keep in mind with the mortgage fraud is that we've all seen this when we've gone to the bank. What does that little black sticker say near the teller window? All accounts are FDIC insured to $250,000, $500,000, right?
Right.
Well, if they're holding our stuff and it's foreclosed upon, who do you think is getting that money when that account is considered to have been, what's the word, defaulted? They're not telling you, but somebody's getting the money for it. But your house is foreclosed upon, right? Aren't they? Isn't that supposed to cover it?
And also realize that promissory note is a total fraud. You think you're signing a 30-year promissory note to guarantee your loan mortgage on your home? Read the UCC codes. Promissory notes are good for 9 months only. 9 months.
Yeah,
they
it's
have
legal.
9 months
It's legal
to turn
tender.
it in and get it back. Yep.
Oh my God.
So they can take that
if I
promissory
want
note and they
to-
can cash it like a check. They just drive down. I'm in Kansas City. They just drive down to the Federal Reserve uptown, on the plaza, and drive through the driveway. Hey, I got this check for you. Can I go ahead and cash this? Yeah, that's exactly how they do it. And then we get into the securities portion of it. You're from where I have my experience, then they take those notes and they bundle them all up and they put it inside of a real estate investment trust, right?
Yes.
Well, you've created a security with your mere signature. So now we've got securities fraud because they didn't tell you that they took that instrument and they put it into a REIT, because you're entitled to all interest, gains, principal, everything involved with that whole entire system. That's your instrument. You're entitled to that. But of course, they didn't tell you that either. That's how all this is so egregious.
What else they didn't tell you about is to fund their mortgages, they went to some other trust. And inside, if you look at the trust, it's a closed trust that cannot lend or money. And so what they did is they said, this trust lent us this money for you. And the trust, and if you look in the trust indenture, they cannot lend money because they're all closed-ended trusts that cannot do anything anymore. They cannot lend or receive any other assets inside the trust. They're closed indenture trusts.
And if they sold your original note and made a copy of it,
So
now we've got even more securities fraud.
So the whole system is just rotten. The entire system. And I oh my.
When it comes to real estate is fraud from the word go. As soon as you pick up that phone and you call a real estate agent, that's all fraud. If a real estate agent is fraud, it's insane.
So tomorrow, if I want to go and I gotta find my. If I want to put the house.
Let me explain something even better yet. To you, Anita. Just a second.
Yes.
Dug into this one. It's called Title 15, redemption. Okay, redemption. So, what does redemption mean? A chance to re-sign, to redeem yourself. Okay, so literally, you can call a bank or a mortgage company, and you could say, "I want to refinance my home, and I want to borrow an extra $100,000 on my home." So when you go in to sign the paperwork, you bring a notary with you. You also bring a new title that you wrote with you. Now remember, you have 3 days to reject that contract. So what you do is you bring the notary in, because what they do behind your back is they notarize everything, but they're not notarizing your signature, they're notarizing their signature. So if you look in the law, anything that's an unauthorized signature or a open-end signature, they can put anything they want on the back end of that signature. So what I got is a group of people who literally are going through and they're refinancing their homes. They're asking for a check of $100,000, $50,000, $75,000, and they're doing a redemption, which means that they're signing the paperwork. They have a notary sitting right by them that's brought all of their notary stamps and everything else with them. They told the people to get out. They want to read the contract. So at the top of every page and wherever they have to do it, they write accepted, accepted, accepted. You know, just like you're accepting the life or the accepted. So then the notary is stamping everything. And then the guy says, okay, I have 3 days. I still need some time to read this contract. I'll bring it back within the 3 days. So you have 3 days now to get to that county recorder's office. First come, first serve. Get it recorded. Get it recorded. Now take it back, pick up your check, and walk away. And your whole home, and you have money too.
Wait a minute. Did you do that?
Oh, I did. I live in Tahiti. But I got people in Wisconsin doing it.
I'm okay. You guys just blows me. When I say I am my jaw, I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was bad. That's awesome. Okay. I'm gonna try this because
you have to remember. Oh, sorry. You have to remember that from their perspective, okay? From their perspective, this is just all good business. So everything that we're talking about here, when we address it with people, this is why people like you are so critical to what we're doing, is because the people on the inside, on the upper elite levels, they know exactly what it is. These are the people I talk to. They don't like me. We have a mutual understanding.
Yeah.
But everybody lower than them, and no offense to those people, but we call them low, at least I do, low-level functionaries. You're not taught this information because if they teach you what they know, it destroys the game. Okay, so from their perspective, they go to you guys or whoever, and they go, they're crazy, they don't know what they're talking about, don't listen to those sovereign citizens, blah, 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 which it's an oxymoron, there's no such thing. But don't listen to those people because then the game is over. So from their perspective, it's all of this is just good business. It becomes fraud when we then find out that we had other options and that we weren't being paid the money we were supposed to be paid when they sold the note or they did this or whatever else. That's when it becomes fraud. But if you never discover those things, to them it's just good business. It means you didn't know enough to ask. You didn't know enough to file this form against us to take your claim to your property, your credit, your whatever else. You came to us. Remember this. Our parents came to them initially and abandoned us by registering us. That was the first fraud. That was the first business encounter. Then we took over those things. We never once investigated what we were handed by our parents, and then we did it to our kids. And
Right.
so where's the line in the sand changing that? But yeah, so from their perspective, they can go, hey, I didn't come knock on your door to give you a social security card, a driver's license, a this, that, and the other. You guys came to us without learning your freedoms and your rights under the Constitution for the United States of America. And they're true.
Oh, yeah. Literally at the hospital now, they literally give the parents social security applications because the minute the child is born, it has to have a social security number. It has to be contracted. When I had my daughter, they did not require social security cards back in 76. But I think it was 81 or 82. I had to contract with them to get her social security card. And because I, at that time, was working for the government in computers. Yeah, I was communication. I went all over the world and
Now, people, dawn on and realize, do your research first. Because when you deny this, right, especially California, they're not liking their sheep being escaped out of the pen and get some of that fresh grass outside. Okay? So they're telling the parents that if you don't do this, you're going to spend 5 years in prison. Which may or may not be true because they're under the illusion, assumptions, and assumptions that the parents are quote, quote, U.S. citizens and or presumed they're employees and you're not following their rules. You're not following the statutes, codes, rules, and regulations since you are an employee. All right? So you got to be real careful from this day forward if you decide to deny that. Now, that being said, if you fill out that paperwork, you must contradict in the newspaper. Okay? Jewish people actually did this for a long period of time. I don't know what happened now, if they're still doing it or not doing it. But they put it in the newspaper about their kid, wink, wink, kid, okay? Their offspring was born on such date, time and trouble, and this, and this. All right? And I would add into that as well that the not been abandoned. Okay? That way, when they do put your offspring in the newspaper, if this is true and correct, arm length, okay, you actually are contradicting their claims. Okay? So when your offspring is born, get down to the newspaper and fill it. Do that. Okay? And now, keep that newspaper on hand for the rest of your life. All right? And pass it on down to your offspring. Have them keep it all their lives. Okay? Break the cycle of this abandonment. Wink, wink. Fraud. Okay? So, they're saying everything about the newspapers and all this kind of stuff, so always kind of do the rebuttal, basically, is what it is. You're rebutting that your offspring's been left at the hospital and abandoned. All right? Now, let's go with argument's sake. Let's just say none of this is true. What harm will it do to you to brag that you have an offspring? Right? You made a claim that is your offspring, your property. So therefore, what harm is it going to do? Oh, you're proud that you have an offspring? That's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario is that you're in conflict and this birth certificate is null and void. Just saying. Think about it. And I'm not giving legal advice. Just my opinion, the way I'm seeing this as a man, all right, protecting my offsprings in the future. Well, I'm not going to have offsprings in the future, but anyway, accidents happen. All right, but yeah, for y'all newbies, anytime you have an offspring, if you do in fact fill this birth certificate and all that out, run. Now, don't take your time. Run to the newspaper and put it in the newspaper with your offspring. All right? That way, if this is true and correct of what they are doing, now you made a claim and there is verifiable proof that you did not abandon. In fact, if you can help it, bring a couple of witnesses with you showing that the baby, your offspring, was born. Not birth. Born. Okay, there's a difference. All right? You was born on the land. You wasn't birth. All right, sorry.
Networks, literally criminal investigation networks around the world.
Educational purposes only. YouTube.
And to all criminals, so you could. It was a criminal profiling network I was installing. Yeah, and I did the computers in police cars. I did the satellite systems in helicopters. Yeah, I did it all. Yeah, and
Anita?
I got out of it.
This is unbelievable. And see, they never want, after I was over Hamilton County Teen Institute, and the lady told me years ago, she said, they don't want you to say anything in regards to facilitating because you have the full attention of the kids and the college kids and the adults. I was a facilitator for a number of years. And I'm trying to get back into that with life-changing, substantial information like this. So and the other thing I want to see if you just to throw this out there, I didn't quite understand because I was doing so much. We had 300 children that were removed from their families, their parents, by Judge Brown in juvenile court down here. And I said, it's got to be a reason. Ma'am?
13848, executive order from President Trump, was originally signed in 2018 and re-signed on January 20th, 2020 before he supposedly walked out of office. All you basically have to do is get every single one of those cases and send it to the OID, child trafficking, and report it.
Well, let's not only report that, but let's report what they're doing with our persons, because your all capitalized name is your person, and they're trafficking that too. They are utilizing that information without your permission, and that is a person. They are trafficking in persons.
And see, the system is broken. My girlfriend was a nurse, and they took her baby, and she got the child back, but it was so many that did. And Judge Brown kind of took the God mentality. Yes, some of the parents were bad parents, but 300 within such a short time frame, and no one knew what to do. I had to listen to them. I was in circuit court, and they...
We also got to stick onto the outlength of this, right? What do they consider bad, right? So let's just say I smoke this funny cigarette once an evening. Does that make me bad? Well, according to Texas, it does. But it doesn't generally make me bad. So it's what they are misleading. Anyway, this will be the People News. Till next time. Never look straight forward. Always look around you. Be able to protect yourself by any means necessary. Is that right, people? Any document you create as well, do not put person or anything like that. Always put one of the people. Okay, that's in the Constitution. One of the people. We the people. Alright? Let's contradict the personality in these documents. Bye, y'all.